Bunch of animals today in memory of Gabe is the dogs, and then of course Monkey Madness. I've been planning that for like 4 days. Anyway, I'm still Tom, she's still Taco, and we've still got North America one last set to go. As I said, in memory of Gabe versus Monkey Madness, two very strong teams, yet at times inconsistent.
Two teams with a lot of potential, but haven't necessarily been able to find that consistency factor to really harness it all together. But right now, they're looking to find that win against each other, and more is particularly that set win. They're not really looking for the split here. Right,
yeah, no, both teams really need the 2-0. Obviously, Spain in the crosshairs for both of these guys. And, you know, when we look at Europe, we keep saying the 5 and 3, the top 5 teams and the bottom 3 teams. North America, it changes each week. I mean, really hard to tell who's on top, who's in the middle, and who's on bottom. But I think you can safely say that in memory of Gabe and Monkey Madness are two very strong teams. They just need to harness, what's the word you use? They need to figure it out on a consistent basis.
I feel like other than Luminosity, everything else is kind of just in limbo for North America right now, which makes things a lot more complicated for Valencia because these teams aren't, I feel like most of them aren't even certain of who's going to be qualifying either out of North America. It's kind of just seeming who gets the best end of these sets. So it's almost like roulette, but not really. So I don't know. North America is just kind of unpredictable in like a different manner to EU right now.
Yeah, we'll get right into the picks and bans right here. Monkey Madness and their opposition in memory of Gabe. They'll have the first draft. So first pick and first ban. Susano, love that ban. Just get him out.
I mean, you can never really go wrong with taking away the setup factor. And Soul is another ban that doesn't really surprise me all that much. You've got to keep in mind that both of these mid laners are very proficient on that Soul pick.
The Nemesis also just a very standard, strong selection here in the jungle. And the Camazotz, that is more specific, but definitely very strong. It's interesting. We saw 1 week where Camazotz came out, was played every game, and then that was it. So Homiefe still really the lone Camazotz player, but Fafnir selected first. No surprise.
Yeah, both these teams kind of leaning towards the tankier compositions already. Of course, Fafnir, you just love having that kind of aggressive presence. And considering that he's just very able to control team fights, can't really go wrong with that. But Ravana and Osiris and Nemesis off the board, that's kind of problematic.
I love the Ravana Osiris double pick for teams in the second position. I think it's really strong, just solidifying the entire right side of the map, the short side of the map. Serqet, though, does a really good job against those guys, dealing out true damage. So despite how tanky they are, well, despite how tanky Raven is, it doesn't really matter. Now, damage reduction does work against Serqet's true damage. So Osiris are going to have an upper hand in that regard. But Thoth and Terra, our last two selections in the first half.
Really trying to just coordinate this tanky composition. There's a ton of frontline and peel potential already, though, on the side of So Gabe is probably, and I like that,
yeah,
they're just trying to eliminate not only a burst god, but just another sustaining factor for Monkey Madness that they could have potentially had.
And also just a strong mid lane selection as well. So Monkey Madness not going to have access to that. Or the Scylla. Where do you think he goes?
The Scylla, I mean, when it comes to Andy, I think that there's still a couple of things that we haven't really gotten a chance to see out of him. He's been one of those players, I think, that has some of the deepest, I mean, I think he's got some of the deeper pocket picks.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a Nox.
I mean, we saw what happened. We saw what happened with that Agni, right? I mean,
there is Agni on the table. I could lean in that direction as well, but yeah, I would probably lean more towards like something utility based, but that also can have the zoning essence that I think the MM are really looking for with the draft that they already have going.
Yeah, for Monkey Madness, I think we need to see a little bit more pure damage than the Agni. All right, cast his curse.
He still wants to go with it.
All right, you know what? And now he's going to top the player damage.
It's got the zoning effect. Like that's kind of why I was leaning towards like the Nox and the Agni selections, just because when you have that zoning potential and you've already got that front lining presence from the Terra and the Robin, they pair up pretty nicely with each other. I think that Memory of Gabe is going to have a hard time packing a punch into Monkey Madness's front line.
For me, it's all about the Serqet. If Serqet is successful in penetrating that back line, she'll be successful all throughout the game and allow Memory of Gabe to find the win. And that's a big if when you're going up against fineokay, Homiefe, Andy, Jigz, and Vetium. I really started to enjoy the Monkey Madness, their play. I really started to enjoy this team, watching them play the game of Smite. And you know, as I said a number of times, fineokay has been a very nice shining star for me. But across the way, KikiSoCheeky, he's somebody, we've seen him a little bit here and there. I haven't seen what I expected of Kiki. How long do you expect for him to really come up to speed?
I think that Kiki's been up to speed. He's just been having a kind of a complicated time. Yeah, I like this aggression.
Yeah,
He's
very
really
interesting.
trying to keep him zoned.
Cyno just pushed Andy out of the lane, so Andy's going to miss these probably the entire wave. He can't solo a speed buff by himself. Andy just got bullied.
He just wanted the minis, I think, to hit level 2 because he didn't start off that mid lane with his jungler. Knowing that Cynosure was going to be present there, Homiefe just decided to help fineokay with securing buffs.
He won't hit level 2 because he didn't get enough of the wave.
They just wanted to invade it.
There you go. Yeah, he hits level 2 finally off of some of the creeps over here on the left side, the oracles. But
I'm not opposed
some of that
to
wave.
it. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that though, simply because were still punishing Gabe for that start by just invading their jungle.
Yeah,
They lost their speed buff, but they're going to trade off 2 blues and a speed most likely.
So it should be kind of even now after that recovery. Very, very important that Andy did recover from that. A lot of players, kind of would just get caught up. Cynosure doing what he did. Like that play, however. Rotation from the solo lane. Gonna confirm the right side Harpies as well. Jungle and Osiris still hanging out together.
And the other interesting factor too about Andy is that he loves aggression. Speaking of aggression, Snoopy's not foreign to it either, trying to get the better end of Jigz already in this duo lane.
Yeah, Jigz missing the stun allowed Snoopy to get a couple of pot shots out onto the support player. Jigz level 3 so far. Does have some potions available to him, 1 and 2 of the mana and HP variety, respectively. That time, the stun's going to hit, but a nice jump in from Eonic to prevent the shots from Vetium.
I do think that probably Gabe are going to keep trying to take up this aggressive front against MM. Typically, the Ram has an easier time with the linker, but that's only for probably the first wave, just because he's got the 5 astral arrow stacks. After that, a Kern and a Fafnir especially are typically just going to default to lane pressure.
Yeah, Ram doesn't have particularly strong wave clear in juxtaposition to the ability-based hunters outside of that first, because he gets granted those 5 arrows, like you said. And Snoopy with the Bramble Blast, he's just going to be able to clear a little bit easier, and that'll allow in Memory of Gabe, excuse me, to really step up like this.
Losing a little bit of gold to the tower, but they're doing a solid job, I would say, at holding it for the most part. It can be kind of difficult when you're consistently being placed under this pressure and not really allowing yourself to push up. And plus, Cynosure are kind of lurking around the corner and just making sure that they're not looking to take anything out of position.
Yeah, in Memory of Gabe, if they had let go of the gas, I think we would have seen Cynosure coming into the lane, but a little bit early for Serqet, just now hitting level 5, so she should be able to make some things happen right about now, but she only has boots 2. Very interesting. Also worth noting is that Sunder's picked up in this game, one on the support, one on the jungler. Oh, but Jigz could be in trouble. He's gonna walk away. Ouch.
Shout outs to the Winions. Creep waves just came in so clutch right there for Jigz. Added number for those creeps eating the auto attacks from Snoopy. I think we would have definitely seen a first blood go the way of In Memory of Gabe.
Yeah, Eonic used that Sunder that I just brought up, and that really talking about that aggression. I mean, Eonic certainly wants to keep that in mind, and Homiefe with the Sunder on the Ravana, that's kind of one of those things that makes this pick work, is the early Sunder.
And Jigz opting for the shell as well. He had to use his shell in order to help himself survive there. He probably would have actually fallen had it not been for the shell as well. So I think it's interesting that he felt more confident going with this active as opposed to a bracer, for instance, that we've been seeing a lot of, especially from these sustained supports and the more defensive supports that like to try and initiate. So I think that they're pretty much looking for counter-engage.
It doesn't really surprise me, though, knowing Jigz' play style for those for the uninitiated. Jigz is definitely a player that likes to protect his team more than not. Khepri is such a quintessential god for him. He'll look for the abduct, but he's really trying to lurk around, toss out a root, toss out a revive. And so to see him go shell, knowing the player, not a surprise at all.
It's always, and there's Andy trying to be cheeky, taking away those right mid harpies from Gabe. And I mean, I think we can just expect to see a lot of that out of Andy. This is really what he loves to do on this Agni pick, is just spam that ult as much as possible, and for good reason. You get solid poke potential out of it, and you have it up fairly frequently.
Yeah, anytime you're sitting at 3 meteors ticking up, unless there's a specific fight in front of you, a little bit of a waste. One thing that I do like about watching Andy's Agni, getting real close to fineokay, is how often he aggressively dashes.
He uses that like almost all the time.
All the time.
If he thinks that he has the kill potential, I mean, I kind of expect him to just dash in aggressively.
Yeah. I mean, we see, you know, even when it's not the so a lot of times we see Agnis go for the execute with the dash. He will start the fight with the dash, and you're sitting there going, "What are you doing, man?" And then all of a sudden, well, he beats a Cernunnos 1v1. Shouts to Andy's last Agni performance, beating up Serqet there in the mid lane.
Sometimes people really underestimate, like you don't notice just how much damage that fire is ticking away at your health bar until it's kind of too late. And when you combine the stun on top of the dash, and so you get them kind of trapped in that little damage pathway, plus you have your 2, which also chunks away, and then your meteors just in case.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. We're having some issues on our broadcast, and it's the stream, not the game, just so y'all know. It was funny. There was like stutters on the stream, and we see the broadcast right here, so we don't get to see it. And then I'm sitting there, everybody's complaining about the lag on my tweets. I'm like, what are you talking about? So production's gonna fix out some of those issues. Apologize for the moment. But again, talking about that Agni, I love this character. He winds up being very utility early on, and in the mid game and late game, slowly that damage starts to creep up on you.
Oh, the damage creeps up. I wouldn't say creeps up on you. It kind of just punches you in the face all at once. Like it's almost like having somebody walk through a door behind you and just completely jump scare you. Like you just never know when it's going to happen, but it's there all at once.
Just surprise. Yeah, exactly. Just surprise. Knock up for fineokay. Kiki gets stunned out. That was cute. Everybody taunt each other. Listen to that one.
I love taunting each other. It's the mind games aspect.
That's what solo lane is about, and I love to watch solo laners. I'm happy that a lot of the streamers out there are solo lane players. There's just so much intricacy. There's so much, and I enjoy fighting games as well. A lot of what happens in the solo lane is reflective of that, where you could play the game 100% perfectly and still lose because your opponent does something different. And I think that's really fun about the solo lane. Cynosure, about to do something different here.
I also really like how solo lane has started to open up a little bit more. I mean, we're still seeing the Osirises, and Cynosure has his eye on fineokay on this Osiris, and Terra Blessing has been popped for the movement speed, but it's not enough. There's no heal to help save fineokay.
First blood for the Scorpion Lady. Ooh, I love watching Serqet. That wasn't exactly too flashy, but a lot of fun there. And even if he had gotten the heal, it do not matter. He's got the Serqet ult. It do not matter. Serqet ult shutting down the healing.
Yeah, that ultimate from Jigz, I like the mindset behind it. Maybe give him a little bit of movement speed to get out of danger, but unfortunately just taken way too low. And the other issue too is that fineokay lost his cooldown on his ultimate as well. Yeah,
that's not going to be a good look for fineokay, although by the time it's relevant, that ultimate will be up again. I'm not too concerned about that one. I'm, oh well. Jigz, he's on the other side of the map. He's not going to know how locked down he was. Oh well. Hurriwind, however, different story. 3 players piling on the Thoth guy. There's the ultimate, and Andy doesn't even need it. One shot off of the assist from the jungle and the support.
Quick return fire by MM, losing their solo laner, but making sure that Gabe feel it in the mid lane. And Hurriwind, I mean, even with the fully charged Thoth, it's unfortunate. He's just got a Ravana just tanking everything up.
It's very interesting. Gladiator Shield has been very, very popular as a bridge item lately. We see fineokay, who on Osiris, you're spamming your abilities more often than not. Gladiator Shield heals you when you shoot at an ability. He opts for the Mark of the Vanguard bridge item. Is it simply because he got pushed down a little bit, or?
I think he just wanted to have a little bit of a tankier presence in team fights. You know that you're going to have Homiefe looking for the more aggressive pathing route with his Gladiator Shield or potentially even Shifter Shield option. And so whichever he opts to go into, he's already being that bruiser hybrid. You can look to be a more frontline presence because Osiris is going to be annoying no matter what, spamming his cooldowns and just getting out his stun lock.
Yeah, just the slow. Oh, man. Osiris is very frustrating to watch players deal with because he just slows you so much, and you see the poor guy trying to run away in slow motion, and then he gets stunned, and then he runs away in slow motion again, and the whole time, it's usually Divios. You just hear the little giggle behind you.
It's not even that. It's a lot of times you just have. It's not even just the Osiris player chasing you down. It's like an entire team.
The rest of the squad,
following
yeah, of
up.
course.
So you just really hate your life in those kind of circumstances. But I think Cynosure is trying to make fineokay hate his life as he's ganking him yet again in this solo lane.
Well, this time it's more defensive because Kiki's in trouble without the ultimate, slowed and shoots the ultimate to the other side. Cynosure going to chase it down. Unsure if the dot is good enough, and it won't be, but as I said before, I think there was less about the kill, Taco, and more about saving his solo laner's life. Homiefe gets the return kill, but Kiki stays alive. Cynosure trades out for his own solo lane.
Excellent rotation by Homiefe because Cyno would have definitely committed to turn onto fineokay, get off his one, make sure that he picks up that kill. Instead, he's going to die, and now it's fineokay trying to aggress yet again onto Hurriwind. Charging the ultimate is going to launch it because he's got Kiki rotating in with that TP.
Just a little bit too early. The mage damage not quite on yet. 32 stacks?
32. He needs a little bit more time, but even with 30 stacks and higher on the Doom Orb, I think he really just needs some more items in the build. Right now, exactly. He doesn't have boots online yet, which is the main reason I think why we see fineokay trying to dive in there, because if Kiki doesn't TP into that, I think fineokay is more than happy to try and tower dive that for the secure.
I do want to give a shout out to Hurriwind right quick for the very slight step to the left to avoid the ultimate out of the Osiris. It's a very small circle when the Osiris jumps on you, and the slightest movement can avoid it. Hurriwind 100% just, okay, I'll slide to the left a little bit, avoids the damage, and that kind of saves him there. Nice play.
And pretty standard stuff in the duo lane as well. Both the Hunters just trying to secure their red buffs and farm it out as much as possible. Snoopy with the slightest lead over Vetium, but that's kind of anticipated because when it comes to a poke battle, Kern tends to have the advantage.
Look at the map right now. Snoopy's gonna get in some trouble, and I'll elaborate in just a moment. But Vetium's the one in trouble. We'll see you later, bud. Cynosure kills him in the sky with the ultimate dot damage, and Monkey Madness are, well, they're the ones that lose their hunter. But I was just about to compliment them on their deep vision. Look at all those red wards in Memory of Gabe's jungle. Yeah.
That side of the jungle is lit up. They are really concerned about Cynosure trying to come from deep downtown, and it didn't even make the difference there because he was still able to find a way into that duo lane and just drop his ultimate, I should say, onto Vetium before he goes up in the air.
Yeah, and those are always the best kills when, all right, my dot's gonna get you, bud.
He's got nowhere left to go. It makes it easier on him. It's unfortunate for Vetium that he expends his Rama ultimate and doesn't even really get usage out of it.
Yeah, again, early in the game, so I think by the time it is relevant a second time, it'll be up again. Had that been a little bit later, might be something to be a little bit more concerned about. But an even game here in our early minutes, 12.5, as Cynosure zigzags away from Homiefe's route. But in all actuality, in Memory of Gabe, are totally content with this sort of situation. Cynosure and Hurriwind are both characters that are going to excel in the later game, along with Eonic, and Snoopy and Kiki will carry them during the mid-game if that needs to happen. Whereas Monkey Madness across the way, they have a lot of late-game picks as well, but I think in Memory of Gabe, with the way Cynosure plays on the Serqet normally, I think they have an upper hand here.
I think there is that possibility, but they do still need to be very careful as far as map positioning is concerned, because even the slightest pick could really result in a team fight going the other direction.
Exactly. I mean, this is one of those games that'll balance on the razor's edge. Both of these squads very talented. Both of these squads have a strong draft. Right now, Kiki doing some tower diving, or getting tower dove, excuse me. Jumped over the top. fineokay's looking for it. Aegis is good. Kiki already expended the ultimate, so he'll be stuck underneath the tower. Snoopy looking to get aggressive, unlike his defensive solo lane.
It's pretty crazy how much damage fineokay is able to exert with just the Warrior Tabi alone, pretty much. And Kiki is kind of just left as the punching bag right now. And speaking of punching bag, Cynosure is looking to make Vetium his own. Aegis has been expended, but the Wild Hunt is out, and Snoopy able to clean that one up all too easy onto Vetium.
This is what I was alluding to with Cynosure's Serqet, and he's able to answer back, taking down Cynosure's mid lane. However, Snoopy's going to get rooted out thanks to Jigz, and two players in blue are going to have to fall back towards the Gold's Fury. Nice answer from Monkey Madness. There's a stun. Cynosure's in trouble. There's that aggressive dash, Taco, but Andy does not get the kill.
Just didn't have the stun available right then and there. Otherwise, I think we might have seen Cynosure taking a spill.
Yeah.
Luckily enough for him, he is able to get out with that jump away on Serqet. But Either way, it seems as though Hurriwind's really just been the sacrificial lamb here for Gabe so far. Every single time they find a kill, Monkey Madness is always responding by picking off Hurry.
Kind of looking like Lobster in Europe. Lobster notoriously winds up with negative KDAs, but his team succeeds around him. And at the end of the day, and Hurriwind will say this himself, you know, it's the team game. Although I'm sure Hurriwind wants a kill. But it's a team game. And so if he has to die for Cynosure to continue finding these picks, like I said, he's not going to be happy about it since he's building a Doom Orb. But it's all about the W in the end.
Keeping a hunter like Ram locked down for as long as possible is always a strong look as well, just because you know how much potential this god can have in the late game phase in order to hyper carry, and especially against a Kern, I think the batting can really go either way for those two. So I like the direction that Cynosure is trying to take this game in by controlling that dual lane so heavily, because it also means that Gabe has a little bit more flexibility as far as putting pressure onto the Gold Fury.
Yeah, I've liked Cynosure's approach a lot this game so far. Only 15 minutes in, he's already looking at the dual lane a second time, but he tries to deal with fineokay early, who honestly has gotten the better of Kiki a lot, with the intention of allowing Kiki to go ahead and succeed in the mid game. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So rather than sticking to the ship, he doesn't want to be the violin player on the Titanic. He goes over to the left side of the map and actually finds something that he can succeed on, hoping to find Gabe a different win condition.
Plus, he doesn't really need to put any pressure on that solo lane side of the map. fineokay is using the Osiris to his advantage. Yeah. He knows how much of a lane bully this god is, and Kiki is more than willing to submit to that pressure because he wants to look for the team chaos in the back line, because Wukong is such a nuisance once he starts getting more involved into those group fighting stages.
Ooh, blink forward. Cynosure is going to miss the Cobra Kiss, but finds the ultimate after the fact. Frenzy is popped on the side of Monkey Madness. Jigz finds a root, and the shots from Ram. 2 shots hit Snoopy. 1 shot hits Hurriwind on the back, who's chased out by Homiefe. There's a jump over the top. fineokay puts down Snoopy, and that's going to be a 1 for none so far.
Homiefe also uses ultimate, and fineokay is just wrecking havoc onto Gabe. Nowhere to go. Homiefe zoning out Cynosure and Hurriwind, and now it's looking like Monkey Madness might just try and aggress onto this Gold Fury. They're still 5 members strong.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for them not to. Hurriwind, Cynosure, both with their ultimate down. Kiki as well, although that a little bit less disruptive. Gold Fury goes to Monkey Madness after the successful team fight. What a one it was. 5-3 are the kills in total, and as 17 minutes gets dinged on the clock, dings 40,000 gold, and their lead is 1,200.
Not really too much of a lead just yet. I wouldn't really consider it a massive loss for Gabe. The experience difference is starting to climb up there a little bit, though, which is interesting because Vetium was just 2 levels behind Snoopy, but after that previous engagement, I think that things are looking a little bit tighter between these 2 hunters, and Kiki just trying to harass Vetium as long as possible, see if Hurriwind can rotate over, but he's not taking the bait. I like how he falls back.
Yeah, Kiki, you know, unfortunate missed input there. Goes for the bird instead of the cat. Can't find the stun. Oh, well. There's 72 transformations. You're going to miss them at one point.
That's a really good one. But Gabe trying to pick up this portal demon now after losing the Gold Fury. fineokay is not okay with that, though.
Monkey Madness are going to take it away? Absolutely not. And Memory of Gabe says no. I really thought they were going to be able to steal it with the way fineokay was just in the face of everybody on IMOG. But in Memory of Gabe do secure the portal demon. So they get their consolation prize post Gold Fury. Good for them.
Good look. Always a fun time having that portal demon, just so you don't have to worry and you can be the ones utilizing that halfway up the map already kind of TP.
Yeah, you can see a whole bunch of players from In Memory of Gabe show up, and they're going to head back into the mid lane. Hurriwind thought about Vetium, but turns his eyes back to the purple buff. No big deal.
Yeah, Vetium wasn't looking to take up a trade there at all. He just wanted to see if he could maybe get away with, you know, pushing into their jungle, stealing the purple buff, but just gonna have to go farm his own. And the rest of Gabe, really, it seems as though they're pretty content after that last engagement to try and acquire their own farm. Kiki, I think, needs to be a little bit more tanky in order to try and aggress further into andinster was kind of just chunking away at him.
I love Snoopy's build. It's very standard and very simple. It can fall into the chin side, but there's so much reasoning behind it. fineokay and Homiefe, obviously Jigz, 3 tanks on the enemy team. Chin side excels against the tanks, and then Cernunnos is a character that You know, he has options on his cycle of seasons. Going Chinsai makes a lot of sense. He doesn't really have to lean into one direction or the other.
I don't really expect Snoopy to be building any crit in this game, but
yeah.
It's looking like he wants to try and bait out Vetium, but they might have been the ones getting baited themselves. Terra's Blessing has been popped. Homiefe trying to commit to Snoopy.
The counter blink! Cynosure goes right in, but Ram heads to the sky first. Snoopy likely to fall. Vetium going to do as well. The junglers take out each other's hunters and then walk away.
That's just a classic scenario, really.
That is the most jungler thing I've ever seen.
They didn't even care about each other or saving the life of their own hunter. They're like, okay, if he's going to kill you, I'm going to kill him.
Just get my gank. Get my gank. That's all the junglers be saying. Get my gank. Over the wall comes Eonic looking for Andy, but he misses the hammer stun, and now Eonic's the one in trouble. Ult canceled by Hurriwind as Eonic finds safety by the tower, and MM don't confirm that kill.
I think that's a fine trade though, and Cynosure taking a little bit of poke there from Homiefe. This Robin's shaping out pretty nicely so far.
Robin is the poke guy. He's gonna look for just, let me fix that face, hands, 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 hands. Serqet on the other hand, all in. Much different approach to the game I think this character has. You're gonna find the Cobra's Kiss into the ultimate, into the zigzag, into the basic, into the I hope you're dead, because I got nothing left. Whereas Homiefe is just gonna hands, 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 root, hands, hand, just over and over.
Yeah, really, for me, I think that Gabe are gonna have a pretty complicated time just peeling mostly for Hurriwind and Snoopy, because Cynosure can pretty much just run away from any signs of danger, or if he feels like he's in a threatening situation, he can usually get out. And speaking of threatening situation, Monkey Madness aggressing again into the jungle of Gabe.
Yeah, and that's so far. Monkey Madness have not really been punished for their aggression. You can see them, I mean, they're leading by a little bit over 1,000, but more importantly, they just haven't been shut down too hard. Only 4 kills on the side of In Memory of Gabe, and really not too many of them, if any, have come from counter invasions.
They really can't afford to try and counter invade though, because it's just the sheer presence of the Osiris and the Ravana especially. It's just, those aren't two gods that when you think, I want to invade here, you don't think, I want to invade into Osiris and Ravana. It's so unfortunate for Gabe that they kind of just have to sit on their hands and wait it out until they have the items available and the counterplay really available, because right now they'll be tickling them, other than maybe Snoopy. Snoopy's going for that pen damage oriented build that I think is really going to work out for him once he finishes that Executioner. Probably going to build into a Brawlers or some sort of pen item.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the correct direction to go. And Snoopy already level 18. Well, 22 minutes into this one. A little bit surprising here, folks. 6-4. Read the kills. Monkey Madness with a minimal lead, but technically do have control of the game, 1,500 or so. But at this moment in time, I really think it's a coin flip as to who's going to win. In Memory of Gabe, does Snoopy come online in time to really shut down the frontliners that Monkey Madness have? And then Monkey Madness, can they control the Serqet well enough?
Well, what I really like about these two teams as well, or at least what I like about what Gabe's doing, is they're slowing down the pace pretty significantly, and MM are trying to turn it up a notch, but they just can't.
And there's going to be the frenzy. That's going to be turned up. Cynosure just kind of backstepping. He wants to avoid Homiefe, who obliterates Snoopy.
And that's exactly what we saw Gabe trying to fall back every single time. Now it's going to be Hurriwind picked up by andinster. Kiki forced into the cloud, but there's 5 members of MM surrounding him. And
that was just an explosion right there. I mean, there was no reason that In Memory of Gabe needed to lose that fight. They weren't down by an absorbent amount of gold. It was just positioning. Monkey Madness had a better position around the enemy jungle, collapsed onto the poor hunter, and Snoopy, sit down. And that's kind of what I was waiting for, or what MM has been trying to do all game with these invades into the speed buff. But Gabe have just been forfeiting the buff. Anytime that there's some sort of contest from MM, they're just like, we don't want to take up this fight right now. And that's exactly why they weren't trying to take up any fight. Even then, they were trying to disengage. Snoopy just couldn't get out. The commit was too strong from Homiefe with the Terra's Blessing mobility. And now they're going to be able to clean up the Gold Fury as well as the Portal Demon. And that's going to be a fantastic look for Monkey Madness. That's going to catapult them to about 5,000 gold lead. Now, that's a 4,000, 4,500, we'll call it even. That's going to be certainly the beginning of a good lead for Monkey Madness.
I think that they're feeling pretty good. They've got to be feeling fairly confident. I don't think that this game is quite out of control of Gabe's hands just yet, but their execution is going to need to be flawless in their next couple of engagements.
Fire Giant started by Monkey Madness will be leashed for the ensuing team fight. Memory of Gabe pokes your head in. Kiki already in the ultimate, looking for damage on a fineokay, who exits near the Fire Giant. Hurriwind stuck in the lane, gonna get jumped on by Homiefe. Collapsed on his Homiefe, stunned, but there's a shot from Ram. Homie's in trouble, has Cynosure's damage on him, but he just doesn't seem to care until Eonic puts him in the ground, and he answers back, taking out the mid lane.
That commit by MM just to clean up Hurriwind. Now the rest of Gabe is trying to collapse to help peel for each other, but Kiki, he's going to be in trouble, and Vetium cleans him up, no problem.
And that's a great, again, another good look for In Memory of Gabe. Eonic in trouble here, he'll jump away, but, Monkey Madness. Monkey Madness falling back into the jungle. Fire Giant probably not on their list of things to do right now, but still, a win in that team fight.
Homiefe committed to that kill for so long, and MM weren't even really that heavily punished for it. Sure, they lost Homiefe, but the fact that they were able to secure 2 kills in the duration of that, as well as take away all the ultimates from Gabe, that just goes to show how much of an issue Gabe are actually having trying to utilize the Serqet for breaking into that backline for MM. They're too busy trying to peel for Hurriwind because, unfortunately, he just seems to be the focal point for MM.
I mean, he's a Thoth guy with a Doom Orb. He's always going to be the focal point. You got to kill that mage, but how do you protect him? Kiki and Cynosure are the ones trying to peel while Eonic's up front trying to pressure. I mean, maybe you switch that around. Maybe Eonic becomes a peeler, but he's a Fafnir. You want that coerce up front. So very, very interesting questions Gabe have to ask themselves as the game goes forward.
The second that Hurriwind dashed outside of that jungle corridor was the very same moment that Homiefe chose to ult onto him and just full commit. There was no hesitation from him. He knew that he was going to be looking for that kill, and the fact that Vetium was willing to pop into his ultimate as well just to try and help secure that. There's a lot of coordination happening right now for MM.
And we're seeing Vetium take to the sky a lot early in these team fights. Again, the best crowd control is killing somebody, right? Dead, you do 0 DPS. So Vetium early in the team fight goes up into the sky, sees if he can confirm any damage. Right now, Jigz gonna start the team fight looking for a root. Hurriwind just threatening that ult on the backside.
Oh, no.
Homiefe gonna miss the ultimate. Aegis is already down, and Hurriwind is in trouble. Vetium gets the snipe from a distance. That's why he's been going up nice and early. And he's zoned out by Kiki, but everybody else killing it on the front lines. Eonic falls down. Snoopy falls down. Kiki falls down. Cyno's the only one alive. He wants nothing to do with it. And MM, they get fire.
Yeah, Hurriwind's seen that one before with just having the Ravana full on tank just rushing straight at him. And really, Gabe were just a little bit too far up. That little gap of separation from Hurriwind and his team, that is all the time that MM needs in order to just run down that mid laner. And without Hurriwind's damage available in the fight, I mean, he's having to panic rush these ults just to try and deter Homiefe or just bust out as much damage as possible. It's not working out for them.
Somebody needs to hold his hand, and I think this is one of the more obvious situations where Hurriwind's not messing up. I mean, he's all the way in the back. Positioning is the easy go-to word. Where do you want him to stand? He's all the way in the back. Honestly, I mean, in memory of Gabe, do they need to help their mid laner out more?
They need to just stay right next to him the entire time. I feel really bad for him watching him because they're trying to help, but the same thing that Monkey Madness is doing excellently is they're aggressing on the front line at the same exact time. Cyno almost got the better end of that. Vetium almost got the better end of that on the Cynosure. But man, Monkey Madness execution in these fights has been great because they've only been sending Homiefe after Hurriwind to chase him down, and then Vetium's just rushing up into his ultimate to help drop damage onto Hurriwind. And with the rest of Monkey Madness aggressing onto the front line of Gabe, there's really not a lot of room left for them to try and protect Hurry.
Yeah, we're getting Homiefe on the backside looking for Hurriwind, like you said. But then the way In Memory of Gabe responded is they sent Kiki after andinster. Homiefe is getting the kill on Hurriwind, and he's not dying. That's the difference. And Memory of Gabe has to realize that their zoning play of zoning the Agni out isn't actually working, and bring Kiki back to look for the peels instead. I like the commitment to being aggressive, but you're down 11,000. Time to start thinking defensive.
It's the overhand kick from the Ravana that's able to immune out the stun from the Thoth. So that self-peel that Hurriwind would typically have is kind of just ineffective. Ravana is such an excellent god for running down these mid-lane picks such as the Thoth that Gabe don't really have much of an option other than to just surround Hurriwind, because otherwise he's just going to die every single time like he has been this entire game, because the commit from MM is going to stay consistent.
Only tower left for In Memory of Gabe is the Fireside Tier 2, and that's exactly where Monkey Madness are headed right now. All 5 members healthy. Vetium thinking about taking the same pathing, but changes his mind as In Memory of Gabe pushes out of their base, looking to push the waves up as far as possible, understanding that Monkey Madness are going to look towards Phoenixes after this tower is done.
Another interesting factor, too, is Snoopy's actually top player damage of the game overall. So he's dropping the damage that his team would need. It's just they're missing that mage burst.
Yeah,
and it's because of the commit. It's so unfortunate for Gabe. I really think these team fights would probably be going their way if it wasn't for the fact that Hurriwind's getting focused out so hard.
Yeah, and again, I want to make it clear that it's the problem for In Memory of Gabe is the fact that their middle laner's not involved enough in these team fights, but I don't fault the middle laner whatsoever. I actually think that it's a tank problem, whether that's Kiki, Eonic, or even Cynosure with the little CC he has, although he's got to find the backline. Whether it's Kiki or Eonic, somebody has to help Hurriwind because it's just not working.
I would agree. I think also this is kind of just a downside for Gabe. They don't have as much of CC lockdown in order to help him as much as they would ideally want to. I think that ultimately just boils down to a slight drafting issue, more so than just any kind of mechanical error.
All right, now Monkey Madness is certainly going to go ahead and look towards the Phoenix in the mid lane. Eonic loses half of his HP. fineokay and Vetium do as well, however. And Kiki chased into the ultimate nice and early. That's a win for Monkey Madness at the moment.
Vetium's health was chunked down fairly low from that Thoth ultimate, but unfortunately no follow-up from Gabe. They can't risk pushing outside this Phoenix. They want to remain under it as long as possible, especially Hurriwind. He's not looking to die anymore from that Robin.
Yeah, not at all. Got to play it very safe, and a successful defensive set. In Memory of Gabe looks at Monkey Madness, pushes them off. Fire Giant's gone. Well done.
I think that's probably best case scenario for a team as well. When you're 13,000 gold down and still able to hold on to your Phoenix, it really just shows that the primary issue has just been protecting this mage, because that ultimate is still chunked. Even with as focused as he's been this entire game and as behind as he might be, he's still doing a significant amount of damage.
I mean, that's the thing. He's a Thoth. He's still going to swing. That's his whole claim to fame, the character that is the amount of damage he puts out. And so even though he's down a little bit, I mean, in reality, as we take a look back at the items, you can see what he's been building, do more, but throughout to who he's finished. I don't care if he's 0-5. I don't care if he's 0-500. Those items, you're going to get hit hard.
Fire Giant contest. How do you feel about this?
Going for the as Hurriwind?
As like the team overall trying to contest that Fire Giant, because you know that it's up, and well, I guess we already see our answer. Gabe not really interested in trying to contest that Fire Giant.
And this I will answer you with bewilderment. I don't understand why they wouldn't even think about it. Normally the excuse, or I won't say excuse, but normally the reason is because you have to tend to your Phoenixes. The Phoenixes aren't down there, so Fire Giant gets traded out for a mid-wave?
They wanted to push the wave as far up as possible, that they felt they could still remain safe on their side of the map, because by pushing out the waves, it is buying them a little bit of time. You can see MM opting to go and try and secure the Gold Fury. First of all, they don't want to allow Gabe any avenues to try and acquire that little bit of extra gold to help finish off some items. But underneath their Phoenixes, they already held the defense successfully once with their team intact. So I think that they can hold even against the Fire Giant squad of MM, because while they have all of these tanky factors on their side, Robin diving underneath the Phoenix and taking damage from a Thoth ultimate to the face is a little bit of a different story than diving him off cooldown in the jungle area and Because if Gabe wiped trying to defend that Fire Giant, it's game.
Exactly.
So I think that they just felt more comfortable trying to fight with that 6-man Phoenix.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I still, you know, long-range Thoth ultimate. Sure. But I think Hurriwind's just, he got beat up this game. He got beat up this game. A little afraid to go for it.
It happens. I mean, it happens to some of the best players, and I think that Hurriwind is a great mid laner. He just has been locked down very well by MM in this game.
Like I said a number of times, I have been critical of Hurriwind in the past. I have no problem being critical on players, but I don't think this was Hurriwind's bad at all.
Yeah.
I think it was. You mentioned a drafting era. I mentioned the commitment to offensive zoning instead of defensive peeling. Combination of both therein is probably where the answer really lies. But at the end of the day, Monkey Madness going for the kill. There's the dash forward, forcing Snoopy out right-hand side. Frenzy's popped as well, so Jigz swinging for the fences. Down goes Snoopy. Cynosure gets smoked down before he reaches Sanctuary, and Andy gets the kill. Number 16 for Monkey Madness.
And Kiki, he's left on the backside, but now with his entire team dead and pretty much only him trying to hang around. I mean, everybody else had to back off. Hurriwind and Eonic could not help him in that backside, and Kiki was just looking to sort of zone away those other members.
He just hasn't done anything here. And again, I asked when are we going to see the Kiki. We saw it in a couple of games, but he has 11,000 player damage. Nobody's zoning, getting zoned. He's walking up and they walk around him. He's been invisible in this game, and that's been one of the major problems for In Memory of Gabe.
I like the Sun Wukong selection. I just feel as though he's had a more difficult time trying to get it up and off the ground because of the CC factor from MM. They just have too much to negate that tanky, annoying warrior presence from the Sun Wukong.
Well, we always talk about the press W, right? The solo laner that just runs at you and you're zoned because you're afraid and you gotta walk away. Kiki's walking at the opposition and nobody's walking away from him. They're just going, oh, look, it's a Sun Wukong. We get knocked up by the Ox, and then we go back into the team fight and kill Hurriwind. Like, there is no zone. At that point, it's 36 minutes in the game. At some point, you have to realize going for the zone over and over again is just not working. Help the rest of the team. Change your battle plan as the game becomes changed. And we're not seeing that adaptation. We're not seeing that adjustment. And I think that's why In Memory of Gabe is down 20,000 gold here, 37 minutes in.
And at the start of that last engagement, Snoopy was actually getting a little bit of that Hurriwind treatment where MM decided to take him out so that way they wouldn't have to worry about a Kern swinging away in the back line. We already saw what happened today, a little bit earlier today, what happens when you leave a Kern unattended. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to leave that one alone either.
Yeah, I think it's any hunter this late in the game. Any hunter with all those items, you're getting hit hard.
That melee zone is not fun to deal with.
The melee zone, I'll give you. Yeah, the melee zone, you start getting hit for far too much. fineokay might get ambushed himself. It looked like fineokay was like, haha, somebody's going to come around this corner. But then it was for somebody's, so he walked away.
And I think MM, they've got the right idea. They just want to knock down this final standing Phoenix, make that Team Titan
they got the
as
right
low
idea.
as possible.
The right idea. On the right side. I see you.
Oh, man. Every now and then they slide in there.
Aggro is just becoming a part of the broadcast right now. Jigz wants to be a part of this right side fight. Homiefe finds the immunity thanks to the kick. And Eonic gonna take his place up front. Kiki relegated to the minion duty, trying to take care of mid and left-hand side. fineokay's ultimate gets chased out by that Cernunnos, the Cernunnos.
They're playing it safe. Hey, I mean, I think it's still so much more fun to say it that way.
Cernunnos?
Yeah, you just have to add as many as possible because you see how long you can go with it before it starts to sound really weird.
Let's give it a shot.
Cernunnos.
It sounded weird the first time you said it. Fire Giant.
They're trying. I like this choice.
Giant.
It's not the same effect at all.
Giant.
That sounds more like you're trying to laugh in Spanish than anything else. So, but I do think that was the safe call by MM, trying to just lock down the Fire Giant because they saw that they weren't going to be able to punch into Gabe's defenses on the right-hand Phoenix. Safe play is always just secure that Fire Giant, have the regen and the buff to it, and just come back in there.
Lead's irrelevant at this point. And that's why they have to play it safe. If this is 40 minutes in, like I said, if we're sitting here 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in, then you're in a position where, listen, there's a big lead, it doesn't matter. But at 40 minutes in, everybody's 6-slotted, and MM wanted to show everybody how hard they can hit while they're 6-slotted. Snoopy, he gets obliterated in the fountain. That's going to be toast for the Cernunnos player. 40 minutes. That's going to do it. Hurriwind does find an answer back. Are they going to be able to defend this?
He got the revenge kill back, actually. Hurriwind finally able to take out Homiefe with that overcommit into the Titan area, but I don't think it's going to be enough just taking out Homiefe. They're still 4 members strong of MM. They've got andinster, they've got Vetium, and that's more than enough damage for the Titan. They're focusing it down right now.
Yeah, half HP on the Titan still. In Memory of Gabe doing some decent defense. Now they're no, that's going to be it. 19-7 in 40 minutes of play. Monkey Madness win the first game of the 2-game set.
Those Phoenixes had just started to respawn, but the Titan was already too low by that time. So I think that it was a valiant attempt by Gabe to try and defend that against Monkey Madness, but just not enough at the start, and that was really just the downfall. Was it took them a little bit too late to try and start peeling, I think, for those carries.
Well, they did what they had to. Listen, when you get behind in the mid and start of the late game, you got to just hang on till 40 minutes where everything's kind of even again, where everybody gets 6-slotted. Unfortunately for Memory of Gabe, they still couldn't do it. Like I said, the peel for Hurriwind just wasn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more tank or tank shredded. If they know that Monkey Madness are going to try and be running these tank-heavy compositions, and the Nemesis is going to be taken off the table from the start, then maybe look to try and combat it with some of your own. They need a little bit more hard CC. Unfortunately, you get a lot of disorientation in those fights from a Wukong, but it's not to the same effect that pretty much 2 warriors and a guardian will provide.
Yeah,